I nearly died in April. I found myself in hospital fighting for my life.
Has there ever been a time where someone's really underestimated you?
Probably like all of my family. Lost Amelia, it was like you feel like you're at rock bottom again.
What if your lowest moment became the foundation for your most powerful brand?
I questioned everything. I was like, maybe I should just go back to work. My husband was like, maybe there's just no market for it. And everything in my body was just like, no, give it another shot and go all in and really master your craft.
Today, I'm joined by my incredible client and book mentor, Georgie Hansen, who went from $0, complete grief, and identity loss to $20,000 months and beyond.
What I'm teaching my women to do is to build the foundation of the book, build the blueprint from it, but you can also create your signature offer, your body of work. There's so many things, like you could make micro offers from it. It's like a whole ecosystem is how I see it.
So if you're building something meaningful from the ashes, this episode will move you, inspire you, and show you what is possible to rise even stronger. Let's get into it. Georgie, welcome to Unstoppable Success.
So good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's so exciting. Obviously, I've flown in from Perth. You've flown in from Queensland. We're here in Melbourne.
We've got coats on.
We've got coats on. It is freezing, but we're surviving.
Yeah,
We're gonna
absolutely.
have a super soul-warming conversation today.
Yeah, that'd be beautiful.
Yeah, so thank you for coming. So you have been on a journey.
I have.
Over the
indeed.
past many years.
Yeah.
You've faced a lot of challenges, a lot of heartbreak, a lot of things that would have broken people and would have stopped them potentially from wanting to pursue their goals and going after what they want. So for everyone listening, before we dive in, I firstly want to get your unapologetic brag before we dive into your story.
Okay.
Give it to us. Give us your most obnoxious success moment.
Well, standing on stage with you the other day, that was amazing. That's one of the things that is on my next level identity. So that was amazing. I'm a multi-international bestseller.
Yes.
A few times. So that's a best-selling author and publisher. And have rebuilt basically from the ground up in the last year to what I am today. So having gone from 0 to 5-figure months in a few months was that really proved to myself.
Incredible. Definition of unstoppable. Because obviously to become unstoppable, it doesn't mean without challenges. It means busting through the challenges, climbing over them, going around them, and continuing on that mission, no matter what's thrown your way. So can you take us back a little while and share with us your journey and your story?
Yeah, so I was working with my husband about 7 years ago. I always had this, I guess, desire to do something for myself, but I had 3 young boys and then we had our 4th child and long-awaited baby girl, and during labour, when we arrived at hospital, we found out that she was coming without breath. So I gave birth to a beautiful, perfect baby girl without breath, and that was the catalyst for me to – I knew in that moment that when I was even giving birth to her that this something bigger than me was at play. Like there's something much bigger. And I believed that from the very beginning. And I also knew that there was like some reason for it and that I would be building something massive from it. And about 3 weeks after she passed, which I shared on the stage the other day, that I heard Light the Way Mama. And I knew that it was a book and a movement, but I was throwing spaghetti at the wall trying to find what it was that I could create a purpose out of her pain. So eventually I realized that writing was my background anyway, because I'd been in PR and marketing for 2 decades. I got to write my story for the first time, and that's when I realized that I could do this. I could create my own publishing company. And so I went on to do that. But in between that, I had some massive health traumas. And have nearly passed away 3 times in my own health journey, and just random things that just happened to me. So I've had about 15 surgeries in the last 5 years, mostly from one particular thing, but a couple of just random like emergencies.
Wow.
And my husband and I have been like, we've been through the ringer. We've lost our house. We've been bankrupt. There's been so many things that have happened. But every single time everyone looks at me and said, how do you turn shit into gold? Like, how do you alchemize everything? And I always believe that everything is for us. That's the one thing that I truly, honestly believe, that everything is happening for our greatest good, and so that we can learn something, or that we can create something, or we can shift people's perspectives. So that has honestly been, I guess, my anchor. Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
So I think everyone can attest that you have been through some of the most challenging times, not once, but time and time again. What makes you keep getting back up?
I believe that the universe is benevolent, and that everything is happening for our greatest good, and that if we didn't take it and run with it, then what is the point? So I think, yes, my children, I get back up for them. And that's, my boys were my biggest driver when I first lost Amelia. But it's more that I really believe that life is full of awe and wonder, and that even the darkest things that happen to us, there's so much beauty and magic in them. And that if we can just look at it from that angle, that we find the light in the darkness.
Yeah.
I just truly believe that. And if I didn't, the universe as I know it wouldn't be what it is. If I didn't have that anchor, then it just would cease to exist.
So powerful, being able to switch the focus from the challenges into opportunities, possibilities, and sometimes you can't even see it yet, but just having that blind faith and knowing what is to come for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, and I don't know if anyone listening has heard of A Course in Miracles, but they say that a shift in perspective is the miracle, and it's not what we're walking through that is what matters. It's how we see it. It's always the lens through which we look.
Yeah. Okay. I want to switch gears a little bit now. So you mentioned a year ago you were kind of sitting at $0 in your business. What did that look like for you at that time?
I had just lost a massive contract that through a friendship that had gone sour out of integrity from my values. And so I spoke up, and that was the end of that whole contract. And that was a full production schedule of books for the next 18 months. So it was big. And then a month later, I found myself in hospital fighting for my life. That was one of the times. So I came out of that experience having to heal my body, and then also starting from scratch. So I questioned everything, and I was like, maybe I should just go back to work. Maybe I should just get a corporate job. And I started looking into contracting, marketing, and everything again. And everything in my body was just like, no, just give it another shot and go all in and really master your craft. Because what I do is vastly different to what anyone else that I had known. Even online businesses, no one that I knew personally was building a publishing company.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any evidence to stack. And my husband was like, maybe there's just no market for it. It's like, what do you mean? Books have been around for years, centuries. So I just went back in and mastered my craft and found a different angle.
Sometimes we build all this success and then we lose clients, or then health challenges happen, or then life happens, and it can feel like such a rock bottom moment, or it can feel like, oh my gosh, now I have to start from scratch after all that work I put in.
Yeah.
And I know it's so relatable.
Yeah, I think I've been through rock bottom a few times, and I see it as such a beautiful new canvas that we get to reinvent or rebuild from. And I just see it as like a shedding, and then we can choose how we want to rebuild. And that's exactly where I was. I was like $0. There was a little frantic energy, but then once I surrendered and decided, no, I'm going to step back up and go all in. But I think that's the thing about entrepreneurship. There's a certain craziness to us and also resilience. I think if we don't have that resilience of, just getting back up, dusting ourselves off and getting back up.
Yeah.
You just won't get there unless you are willing to do that and willing to keep going.
Yeah.
Because there are so many things, and not just like big challenges like that, but there's little things that happen, and the little things can add up, and eventually just you feel like you're at rock bottom again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to have that resilience.
Yeah. And so you've gone from $0 to multi-5-figure months in a very short time, in around 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, it was the first 20K month I had was in, I think, November. I nearly died in April and then was kind of restarting a few weeks later. Yeah. So reverse engineering, I don't know how. I think just I went all in and redefined my offers, rebuilt my brand, looked at my USP, like what makes me stand out from the crowd, and how can I really niche down, and like I'm a projector like you, and like really find my super niche and then own it unapologetically and stand boldly in that. And yeah, I think that's how it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously through your journey, you've redefined your messaging, your marketing, who you serve, what the value proposition is, but you also help your clients to do that as well.
Yeah.
And I know you love to use the term market of one.
Yes.
And that is so powerful. So whether someone is looking to write a book, whether they're wanting to just stand out in their industry, what does market of one mean to you?
Creating your own category. So even if you're in a niche or in an industry, what makes you completely unique? And then how can you do something different to stand out? So whether that is like having a podcast or writing a book or deciding to do stage events, and what is going to make you stand out from all of the other people in your niche. And then everyone's different. Not everyone needs a super niche. You know, we love human design. But I love that market of one, category of one, because it's relatable to books, and like how do you define a category? How do you own a category? So yeah, it's really it's that iconic. Like, how do you become iconic? And that really is by owning your uniqueness and how you stand out. Because I think a lot of women in entrepreneurship are so scared to do that.
I think on that point, you know, everyone wants to be unique, but then they dim their opinions out of fear that someone will say, you're wrong, especially when the whole industry is doing something one way and you're out there paving your own path. How do you overcome those fears, or how do you decide, I'm going to say this anyway?
Yeah, it is a tricky one. I think you have to be okay with looking like an idiot. Like you said, you have to and also be okay with the closest people to you, whether they have an issue or not. So, you know, whether it's your friends and family, and even if you have to mute, unfollow, protect your energy and just put the blinkers up until you really can stand boldly in it. Yeah, I think that's the key, is just to it's not about not caring. It's about feeling like your mission is bigger than what they think.
Yes, huge. So for anyone who's thinking, okay, I would love to write a book, why do you think a book is the key to really carving out this space?
I think because everyone knows that it's not something that you can just throw out there. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort, but not as much as what everyone thinks as well. I think and that's the biggest thing that stops them, is that there's this perceived time, cumbersome, laborious, but because there is that more elite credibility and authority around having, you know, a book, especially once you've become a bestseller, it sets you at a different standard, I think. Yeah.
It also, I guess, requires you to claim that market of one. It requires you to have a different level of thought leadership, a different opinion, because you can't put a book out there that's an exact replica of someone else's thoughts and feelings. And I know even just writing my own book, I had to mute everything. I stopped consuming content for a whole year because I knew I had to tap into, what are my opinions? What are my thoughts? What are my leadership values that I want to leave? And also, a book is so permanent. It's not like an Instagram post where you can delete it tomorrow. You're like, oops, don't agree with that anymore. So it kind of requires you to have this deep level of introspection as well, because it's almost like I'm putting this out into the world forever. The impact.
It's timeless.
Yeah,
it's a timeless legacy and a timeless asset, and that's what makes it so powerful and unique. But also, like I loved when you said that you had to just unfollow, mute even your own friends who were putting books out or who were in your industry, because there is that level of thought leadership. I love it so much because you can basically, in the writing process, you can create your body of work even.
Yeah.
And it then can be like repurposed in so many different ways.
So many ways.
It's a few different ticks in one thing.
Yeah.
So
one of the best things that I remember sharing with you, I actually uploaded my whole book to AI, and then it was able to pull content for me, pull speeches, pull podcast episodes based on my exact words and thought leadership. And so sometimes people look to AI to almost give them ideas, but if you have that body of work, it's always going to stand out and be unique, because usually AI scans the environment, scans the internet, and just pulls common knowledge. But it's such a powerful tool for efficiency, and it's almost putting your whole body of work into an asset that you can then spread across everything.
Yeah. What I'm teaching my women to do is to build the foundation of the book, build the blueprint from it, but then you can build the book, but you can also create your signature offer, your body of work, extract the method out of it before you even start the book. And then using that to, there's so many things, like you could make micro offers from it. It's like a whole ecosystem is how I see it.
It's huge. It's really setting you up for everything. Yeah. I actually did mine backwards because I wrote my book years into my personal brand journey when I already had about 1,000 notes in my notes app. I had over 1,000 Instagram posts. I had over 200 episodes on my podcast. And so I actually used that to help me write the book.
It's such a clever way.
Which made it so much simpler because all my thoughts are out there. Yeah. I'd written how many keynote speeches and lessons, and that made it really, really helpful as well. So it works both ways for people who even already have some of these things set up.
And that's what I help them to do, is like shortcut the process, but then interweave it. As the way I ghostwrite is like seeing all of that content, putting it all together, and then filtering it through. But it's such a clever way to do it as well. You know, when you can combine it all together, and then using AI to help extract what you want the other way, like you did, and put it into a flow. There's so many different ways that people just haven't thought of to create books, and vice versa.
So many, so much. What would you say to someone who maybe thought, maybe one day I'll write a book, but I don't have time, or maybe they're stuck in the trap of, I don't have enough to say to fill a whole book, or I'm not a thought leader yet? What would you say to someone?
So common things that I hear. And I think writing the book gives you clarity and creates your messaging and creates your body of work and creates you as the thought leader. Like if that's where you're not yet. And also there's so, like we were just saying, there's so many different ways you can do it that do shortcut the process, and it doesn't have to be long and cumbersome. I've written books in 14 days, and I'm just about to take a case study group of women through a 30-day process. Yeah. And people are like, what? How can you do that? Like, well, it's not as, and that's not writing for 14 days. That's like an hour each day. And that's, you know, with the help of AI and, you know, helping it to using it to extract your message and your method. And there's just so many ways to roam these days. And I think we just need to start thinking outside of the square, because you know, like kids are using AI to build businesses. So
how does AI work in publishing? Because I kind of wrote my book just before. Yeah. I mean, AI was there, but it wasn't kind of as mainstream as it is now. Yeah. How does that work in terms of who's the author, the publishing rights?
Yeah, I think this is where you need to use it really effectively. So it helps to extract your thoughts. The way that I'm doing it is extract your method and methodology through, and I'm building out this whole process right now. So it extracts by questioning you, and then you input content and data like you did with your content. So you're still feeding it, but it's asking you what it needs to be fed. Yeah. And then it helps to co-write or ghostwrite, because I've built a ghostwriting AI. But it's still like an extension of my brain of how I would do it. And that's what I make sure for my clients as well. It's an extension of their genius and their voice, not the other way around. Yes. So, and then it helps to refine, but it also takes you through a series of self-refinement first. So it's not refining it in like the robotic AI, it uses their tone of voice. And so it's just, you've got to be really careful about that. It's not just like, here, write a chapter on XYZ based on what's out there. It's what's in your own mind first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah.
Do you have to disclose, like, with the help of?
Yeah, I think if I was taking an author on who had used AI, then it's in our contracts that they need to disclose it, and it would be in the copyright somewhere. But I think because it's the way that I'm teaching it is that it's their brain and an extension of that, then we all use AI to edit anyway.
Yes.
Like even if you're using Grammarly, like you're using AI. So
yes.
I think it's going to be one of those things that is really interesting in the next few years because there's ethical and unethical ways to do it. So yeah, we've got to be careful.
Yeah, huge. You are building out such an empire. I mean, what you've built from the ground up in such a short time, not just, hey, now I've got some offers who would like to work with me, but leading a whole movement around writing books in a new way, leading a whole movement of women to become the market of one, but also revolutionizing how books are being done. It's the definition of unstoppable, iconic leadership.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is. You're not just saying, okay, let me create a publishing house that looks like every other publishing house. You've seen, okay, this is what's wrong with the industry. Let me build out a whole new space. And I think that is the future of business. I don't think we can come in and just be a service provider anymore.
No.
We have to have those thought leadership pieces, which obviously books get to amplify that.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're so right. Yeah. Entrepreneurship looks a lot different these days.
Definitely. Okay, I have a few rapid fire questions I want to lead in with. What do you do when someone underestimates you? Or have you had an instance?
I prefer to prove it to myself first, kind of silently, like move silently.
Yeah.
And then when I've proven it to myself, then I go like, yeah, see, I did it.
Yeah. Just watch me.
Just watch me. Yeah, I'm not as bold as you. Like, just watch me. I'll be like, I'll just do it first.
Okay.
And then just watch me.
Yeah. Then you'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. Has there ever been a time where someone's really underestimated you?
Probably like all of my family in a nasty way. I think I've just shocked a few people. Like I was the shy girl like you and I was the sensitive one. And I don't think anyone expected me to be a business owner. I was a mum for so long and a business owner who supported my husband. I think they all knew deep down that this was like in my blood.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't really had an underestimation yet. No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, that's awesome. And I think sometimes it's those people closest to us, especially the ones, whether it's friends we've grown up with or family and people closest to us, they see us as a certain version of us.
Yeah.
And it's kind of blows their concept of reality out the water when you take a new path, but you've always known that part was in you.
Yeah.
So it can sometimes create somewhat of friction, but it's not always a negative thing. It's just their concept of reality catching up on this is who Georgie is.
Yeah. They're proud.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel like friends that have known me for a long time, especially from high school, they weren't expecting it, I don't think. But I think when I lost Amelia, it was like, well, they could feel the energy shift, like there's something massive was going to come from it. So
huge. Yeah. Okay. What is your definition of unstoppable?
Just that keeping on, like the resilience, keeping on getting back up. Doesn't matter what it looks like. Success is just like freedom in your choices and continuing to just get back up and dust yourself off, and no matter what it looks like, just not stopping. It's basically like just not stopping, keeping on moving.
What about on the days when you are like, I'd really love to stop right now, or at least just pause?
I think I do. Yeah. I think it's important to recognize that you just need a rest.
Yeah.
But I think we don't set up camp there. We rest, but we don't get bogged down and like, I could just stay here forever.
Yeah.
It's just, this is our little camp spot and we'll keep on going.
So good. Well, thank you for sharing all of your incredible wisdom. I'm sure we could continue chatting all day. But this has been so power-packed and I know that everyone is going to get so much out of it. So
thank you so much for having me.
And where can people find you if they want to?
Instagram is probably the best place. Georgie's-mosaic. yeah, that's where I hang out.
Yeah, we'll
most.
put all the
Yeah.
links in the show notes. Everyone can
No
come and
worries.
check you out.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me.